They wasted hundreds of millions of dollars of your state and local tax dollars to promise a project that never happened. Foxconn turned out to be just that, a con. During the previous administration, my predecessor made promises which he broke more than kept, left a lot of people behind in communities like Racine. On my watch, we make promises and we keep promises.
All right, earlier today, the president of Racine, Wisconsin, I guess the kids would say that's trolling, right, of former President Trump, because he's out there touting his economic agenda, talking about this announcement with Microsoft spending $3 billion on an AI center in Wisconsin, and it's being built on the same site as that Foxconn project that he mentioned that had been championed by former President Trump when he was president back in 2018. He said, you know, it was the eighth wonder of the world and that kind of thing, and then that the company had planned to invest $10 billion in the project. Of course, Foxconn never came to fruition. Now you have this, you know, site at the same site. You have Microsoft investing. I have Congressman Tom Tiffany, who's the Republican from Wisconsin, joining us. It's not going to surprise you at all, Congressman, to see some sort of politics like this in an election year, but what would you say to at the economic argument here that Biden is clearly trying to make, that his Microsoft deal is better than Trump's Foxconn deal in your state?
So it's a good thing, but for President Biden to take credit for Microsoft making an investment, this is a private company making an investment. It had nothing to do with President Biden. But he should go out and talk to the average citizen in Racine, Wisconsin, and he'll hear a different story about what is happening across America, especially with inflation at 20%. People have lost $10,000 worth of their earning capacity. I mean, it's a real problem for the average American. President Biden should go visit those real Americans.
What would he find? I mean, I saw that he was in Racine. I actually spent, coincidentally or not, but a lot of time in the last campaign there in that area. It's a beautiful area because it's a swing state, and it decides a lot of these elections. Of course, as you know, it went for Biden last time. It was close. We just showed the polling earlier. We can pop it up again, the average polling in Wisconsin. It's close again. I know Trump maybe has a slight lead, but it's all within the margin of these polls. What's happening in Wisconsin? There it is. What's happening in Wisconsin right now?
Yeah, you know, it's going to be a very close race. There's no doubt about it. And one of the things that I think is going to make a difference is the third-party candidates that get in. Because when you look back to 2016, that certainly had an impact. And by the way, to your point at the top, President Biden is not going to make the same mistake Hillary Clinton made in regards to Wisconsin and not show up. And but I also think that I think President Biden's weakness is also on display every time that he comes to a state repeatedly like Wisconsin. And sometimes I wonder, is he actually helping himself?
What do you mean?
You see the weakness on display. I mean, Joe Biden is a metaphor for America at this point. You see an America in decline. You see American weakness, whether it's our foreign policy, a border that's overrun, no longer energy independent, and then inflation eating up people's paychecks.
So the more they see,
I mean, America's in decline.
As opposed to going up in the polls, you might go down in the polls. I want to dig into your third-party comment, too. I'm sorry to go back to that, but I want to go into your third-party comment because I'm interested in that as well. Are you talking about Kennedy in particular? Because, you know, we've seen the polling on both sides of this. Early on, it seemed like he was taking from Biden in some states, and now there's some new data that says, oh, maybe he's taking from Trump.
You know, that certainly could be the case, especially if they're COVID voters. But it is not just Kennedy. It is also Jill Stein and Cornell West. You go back and look at the results of 2016 in Wisconsin. I know I had a county in the far north, in my district, far north in Wisconsin. I think, who was it, Gary Johnson, the Libertarian candidate, got like 7% of the vote in that county. Now, it was a relatively small county. 7% is a significant chunk of voters.
Well, Wisconsin, you can have some really liberal areas, right? Especially around, like in Madison, right near the University of Wisconsin, right? So is that where you'd look for those voters to take away from Biden? Are they angry with him about the war and all that kind of thing? Is that what you're saying? Or?
Yes, certainly. The Hamas wing of the Democrat Party, whether it's in UW-Madison or UW-Milwaukee, we saw a sign today at UW-Milwaukee saying that pigs are not allowed here, referring to the police. And so some of those people are so extreme that they may not even vote for President Biden. But that's also who President Biden has to accord at this point. He's in a very difficult spot. And with the Hamas wing of his party, and whether he can hang on to their votes. And you can tell he's deeply concerned.
All right, Congressman, thank you. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.